Marvel's Spider-Man was developed by Insomniac Games and was released in 2018. Along with the Arkham series, it's one of the best licensed games ever made. The story focuses on Peter Parker dealing with catastrophic events across Manhattan Island after the arrest of Wilson Fisk, who was the kingpin who controlled the city. With the resulting power vacuum, Fisk's absence then emboldens various regular criminals as well as supervillains to make their move, including certain individuals who seize on the opportunity to fulfill their desires for revenge. In this video, I've managed to put together as many Easter eggs, references, and any other points of interests that I could find. And if you do enjoy this, then subscribe, that way you can stay up to date on all future videos I put up. Now it's time to web swing into New York City. In the intro cutscene, there are a few things of interest to see in Peter's apartment. On the shelf is a copy of Amazing Fantasy issue 15, the comic that Spider-Man first appeared in 1962. Amongst these post-it notes are the initials of other Marvel characters. Tony Stark, also known as the hero Iron Man, appears to have offered Peter a job. Reed Richards is the founder and leading member of the Fantastic Four. There's another note that reads, "It's Web in Time," which is the catchphrase Peter's looking to use that homages the popular line said by Ben Grimm, the Thing, who's another member of the Fantastic Four. And on the wall is a poster promoting the ring fight between Peter and Crusher Hogan, which in the comics was the first time that Peter used his spider abilities in public. An environmental detail can easily be missed in the atrium of Fisk Tower, as the player is expected to ascend the level toward their objective. However, if you first drop to the bottom area, there's a plaque with a description on it. On a closer look, it seems that Fisk had dedicated this atrium to children, an irony coming from a crime boss whose actions are only driven by self-interest. Another small detail that can only be seen while using photo mode is found on the enemy's rockets. On its warhead, it reads, "Guaranteed to kill spiders." Yet another easily overlooked detail can be found on the radios of this corrupt police squad. By using photo mode to get a better view of their radios, you can find the name of the game's developers on them. After the boss battle against the Kingpin, Pete will say something to him.
So, should we kiss now?
This refers to the upside down kiss from Sam Raimi's first Spider-Man film. While moving around on the ground, people will call out to Spidey in admiration or will even jeer at him. One person may say this:
Hey, you got some kind of skin condition under that stupid suit or something?
This skin condition under the mask may be a reference to Deadpool, the merc with the mouth who hides his disfigurement behind a mask. The Daily Bugle articles you can find throughout the city don't count toward the game's 100% completion, and only the headlines can be read, but it's the paper's cover template that's of particular interest, as it seems to have been inspired by the Sam Raimi films' version of the Bugle newspapers. There are various things of interest to find within Otto Octavius' lab. As the story progresses, several of the whiteboards will change what's on them over time, revealing Otto's changing state of mind from a regular scientist to a criminal mastermind. On the Spectrograph project's screen, the codename for this puzzle is X-23. This refers to the mutant Laura Kinney, who was given this alias at birth and is from the X-Men comics. In Otto's office, there are post-it notes that can be seen everywhere. AIM, or Advanced Idea Mechanics, is a terrorist group made up of the world's top scientists who are attempting to topple governments through technological means. The initials of Reed Richards is seen again here. When returning to the lab later in the story, the room is filled with boxes and new tech with AIM marked on the items. And on a closer look at the invoice, the name of the signatory is Ben Abrams, who appeared in a Secret Avengers issue. He worked for AIM along with his wife, who was later revealed to be an informant for the authorities. While the game is loading, you can manipulate the screen with either of the control sticks. The left stick zooms the camera closer or away, while the right stick can move the camera around the screen. In the cutscene where Spider-Man meets Yuri on the police rooftop, she says this.
You got a black and white suit? No ball this year anyway.
This is maybe alluding to the fact that Peter will eventually don a Spidey black and white suit called the Symbiote costume. Now for this entry, we'll take a look at some of the items within the backpack in the collections menu. Above the barcode on the Oscorp Visitor Pass is an alphanumeric code. This is the cover date for the Amazing Spider-Man issue 14 that came out in July 1964 and was the Green Goblin's first appearance. The catalogue number on the failed prototype item has another issue date. The Amazing Spider-Man issue 31 in 1965 was significant as Harry Osborn made his first appearance in it. The thank you drawing is a nod to the Spider-Man 2 game that came out on PS2 and Xbox, where the player had to catch a balloon for a crying child. This self-help book was written by a Dr. Ludwig Reinhardt, which is an alias used by Quentin Beck, aka Mysterio. Peter's college thesis was graded by a Professor Warren. Miles Warren was a teacher in Empire State University, who became a supervillain called the Jackal. The lawyer's business card shows the names of Foggy Nelson and Matt Murdock. The latter is the blind superhero, Daredevil. The MJ article name drops Peter's former high school bully turned friend, Flash Thompson. And Sally Averill was so obsessed with Spider-Man that she became a costumed crime fighter herself called Bluebird. Peter's good luck card shows the names of various characters from the Daily Bugle, including Eddie Brock, who became the first host of the alien symbiote Venom. This comic book cover art was signed by two kids who are likely the children of Clarence Rebello, Insomniac Games' senior animator. May Parker's wheat cake recipe is taken straight out of the comic, word for word, in the 1996 Untold Tales of Spider-Man annual. After restoring the third tower to working condition and the mission ends, Spidey will say this:
Not good. Can't have people taking pictures of my 3 chest hairs.
When you unlock the Undies suit later in the game, use photo mode to zoom in on Peter's chest to see that he does in fact only have 3 chest hairs. In this entry, we'll explore the city and cover some of the landmarks in the Marvel lore. Now there are some locations that many will know from the MCU, such as the Avengers Tower, Black Panther's Wakandan Embassy, and Doctor Strange's Sanctum Sanctorum that are the most obvious ones, but there are a few other fictional locations that the wider public might not know about even when taking their snapshots. The Bar with No Name is a hangout for many supervillains who go there to relax and socialize. The Symkarian Embassy represents the fictional country of Symkaria, where Silver Sable and her mercenary group come from. This Eastern European nation is bordered to Latveria, the home of Doctor Doom. Damage Control HQ is a government department that focuses on cleaning up and repairing property damages caused by the battles between superheroes and villains. Rand Corporation is a multi-billion-dollar company owned by Danny Rand, also known as the vigilante Iron Fist. There are several locations that are linked to Daredevil. Fogwell's Gym is a boxing gym where Matt Murdock's father once trained before his death and would later be bought and refurbished by Matt. Josie's Bar is a popular hangout for shady characters and where Daredevil goes when looking for information. The Clinton Mission Shelter is where Matt Murdock's mother, Sister Maggie, works from. And Alias Investigations was a detective agency run by the superheroine Jessica Jones. In the financial district, there's a particular movie theatre that has a marriage proposal found on the marquee. Apparently a fan reached out to Insomniac and requested if they could somehow put in the game a way to let him propose to his girlfriend. The developers agreed to this and placed the question here. There wasn't a happy ending, however, as the couple broke up shortly before the game was released. New York City is a location used by many movie makers, with various popular real-life landmarks seen in films and television, but there's one of particular interest here, as this firehouse, called the Hook and Ladder Company 8, is the home of the Ghostbusters. And going round to the back of the building, you will see on its wall a graffiti of a ghost. When Otto discovers Peter's suit, he comes up with a few ideas for improvements that he leaves in a notebook for him to read. Found in the note is the name Carla Sofan. She's an immoral psychiatrist who becomes the supervillain Moonstone. At the Feast Shelter, there are several things of interest to find. Starting out in the reception area, there's a wall nearby full of photos of the shelter's volunteers. These are the developers for Insomniac Games. At the top part of the wall is a large photograph showing the Volunteer of the Week, which changes every time the player re-enters the building. There's a humorous warning sticker that can be found in at least 2 places within the building, one in the kitchen and another in Martin Lee's secret room. Both have the same description. On the second floor is a job board you can inspect, where Peter mentions his former classmate.
Veteran homelessness is down, but still way too high. Good thing my buddy Flash Thompson's doing his best to fix that.
And at the end of the game, if you return to the Feast building, there'll be a memorial plaque to Aunt May by the reception desk. Now we'll explore the city some more, and this time cover some of the secret photo landmarks in the Marvel lore. In Hell's Kitchen, Nelson and Murdoch is a law firm founded by Daredevil's Matt Murdock with his best friend Foggy Nelson. Set up all over the city are the Heart Clinics, which is an acronym meaning Hospital for Emergency Aid and Recuperative Therapy, that was established by Dr. Elias Wortham, who's also known by his vigilante name, Cardiac. There's a humorous graffiti of J. Jonah Jameson in the Greenwich district. On the topic of graffiti, there are also artworks of the supervillains Vulture, Scorpion, and Rhino. And though it's not part of the secret photos, there is a graffiti of Electro. And in the financial district, the iconic Wall Street Bull statue has been replaced by Lockjaw, an Inhuman's dog that has the power of teleportation. While in the auction house, players can take the time to have a look at Wilson Fisk's many items that are up for sale. 2 of these are the Kingpin's iconic cigars and diamond-tipped cane. One other item of particular interest is this 18th century cello called Vanessa, named after Wilson Fisk's wife. And as a side note, while MJ is taking photographs of these items, you can aim the camera instead at Rose's face. When taking the snapshot, she reacts to the camera flash. So this one can't exactly be missed, but it wouldn't be an Easter eggs video without including some of the more obvious stuff, like this entry. Now anyone who watches the Marvel movies will often see a brief cameo by comic writer Stan Lee, who co-created many of the Marvel characters we know and love today, and here he plays a restaurant cook. Another secret photo op is Ben Parker's gravestone. It's located in the cemetery in Harlem, and the player can even interact with it to hear Peter paying his respects.
Hey, Uncle Ben. Miss you. Doing my best to make you proud.
This next collection of locations are businesses connected to villains from Marvel lore. The Roxxon Energy Corporation will rise to prominence in the Miles Morales spin-off, but can be found in this game across Manhattan Island in the form of various gas stations. Roxxon is one of the world's largest fuel corporations that are involved with illegal activities unknown to the general public. Alchemax has a small part to play in the side story involving Tombstone, who are in the comics a mega corporation founded by Peter's old classmate Liz Allen. She would later marry Harry Osborn, which during this time, Alchemax would be intertwined with the tragic legacy of the various Green Goblins. The Century Club is a high-end membership club and restaurant that Wilson Fisk often frequented, and in the game, it's conveniently placed just a few blocks away from the Fisk Tower. Found on several buildings, as well as the side of some vehicles, is Smythe International. The name comes from Alistair and Spencer Smythe. The son and father both created robots to hunt Spider-Man, known as the Spider Slayers. On the opposite side of the road, overlooking Harlem's cemetery, is a building with a mural of Michael Quell. He was an Insomniac Games programmer who passed away back in 2012, and this artwork is in his memory. As Spider-Man enters the abandoned warehouse with Jefferson Davis, he says this:
I feel like I'm in a horror movie. Hello? Any fisherman with a grudge and a hook for a hand?
This may either be referencing a slasher film like I Know What You Did Last Summer or Candyman, but might actually be alluding to the real urban legend about a faceless killer who wears a raincoat and has a hook for a hand. Another Sam Raimi film homage can be found in some of the ground level locations at Fisk's construction sites. Behind these dump trucks is a warning message. This is a likely nod to the scene in Spider-Man 3 where the Sandman knocks the police officer back into a windshield. Now this Easter egg is a little difficult to hear, but if you stand close enough to any of the pizza restaurants throughout the city, you may be able to recognize music being played. It's the same theme from the pizza delivery missions in the Spider-Man 2 game.
Careful, Spidey. Remember, pizza doesn't like being flipped.
In Martin Lee's secret office, there are magazine covers and newspaper clippings that are all about Norman Osborn's life. Though there's plenty to see, it surprisingly lacks many Easter eggs to find. But there is one newspaper clipping that's about a young Norman winning a Roxxon Science Award, which has two character name drops from the comics. The article first mentions Vincent Stegron, a former assistant to Kirk Connors who experimented on himself using dino DNA, and eventually transformed into the villain Stegron the Dinosaur Man. As for the other name in the article, Tilda Johnson is a biochemist who turned into a supercriminal under the alias Nightshade. Tilda would use her chemical mixtures to transform people into werewolves under her control to support her nefarious activities. During the mission called Back to School, the player is at a Halloween party where everyone are wearing costumes, and along the path, you'll find someone wearing a Spider-Man mask with no shirt.
Hey, look at us! We're Spider Bros! Check out my moves!
This is a homage to Greg Miller, who's an internet personality on YouTube. He has a running gag of taking his shirt off while wearing the Spidey hood, and Insomniac decided to put him in the game. Throughout the city, there are various buses that have something interesting to see on them. By getting a closer look, you'll find the Insomniac name on the front and sides of the vehicle. What can also be found across Manhattan are these simple but humorous drawings of Spider-Man vs. Rhino. The details in this game go so far as to include little things that can be found by looking through some of the windows. Though many of these rooms are just copied and pasted, one thing you can find on a shelf are 3 action figures. What's interesting about the one on the right is it's Spider-Man wearing the symbiote suit. After the battle with Mr. Negative, Spidey tries to stop the subway train while alluding to the train stopping scene in Spider-Man 2.
That totally worked last time!
In Times Square, within Otto Octavius' safe house, there are some more details to discover. This green container has Tricorp Research Foundation written on its side. In the comics, they're an organization of the greatest minds in the country, with unlimited resources, and some of which were tasked with learning about the origins and nature of Spider-Man's powers. There's a newspaper article on one of the walls that mentions Strom Robotics. Mendel Strom was one of Norman Osborn's earlier industry partners who helped to develop the original Goblin serum. His obsession with robotics led Strom to transfer his mind into a robot to become the Robot Master. Mac Gargan, aka Scorpion, has on his work table a copy of his criminal record, and the ID code is a comic date. Amazing Spider-Man issue 20 in 1965 was Scorpion's first appearance. And one other detail can be found on this keyboard, as one of the keys has a symbol showing 2 crescent moons. This is part of the logo for Insomniac Games. During the battle against Vulture and Electro, Spider-Man as well as Electro make references to the Rocky movies.
Beast, you're up! No, Adrian, it's me, Spider-Man!
What are you babbling about?
Nobody ever gets my jokes.
Spider-Man! I must break you!
You got it! You got my joke! I'm so happy I can almost stop fighting!
I must break you.
In Norman Osborn's penthouse, when MJ puts on the combat helmet, the HUD displays at the top the prototype's ID code. GG1407 1964 means Green Goblin and the date of his first appearance in the comics. Further into the penthouse, an achievement award can be found framed on the wall. The Pym Foundation Award refers to Hank Pym, who was the original Ant-Man and one of the founding members of the Avengers. Off to one side of Norman's bedroom is a letter written by the hospital. It mentions that multiple physicians based out of various cities around the world have been trying to treat Emily Osborn's worsening condition, and one fictional city gets name dropped. Berninzana is the capital of Wakanda. In the hidden lab, there are what looks to be prototype grenades that would eventually become Green Goblin's infamous pumpkin bombs. And in the center of the room, this virtual map reveals the name of Dr. Van Adder, who was involved with the Goblin formula. He was a research assistant to Norman Osborn, who tested on himself an unrefined formula that changed him into the creature known as Proto-Goblin. Onto some of the side missions. During Spider-Man PI, you have to help a woman named Carmen, whose husband has got himself involved with a group who are planning a casino heist. When Spidey is in position to take a photograph of the plans drawn on a whiteboard, you'll see the names of those taking part in the robbery. On a closer look, the names are familiar, as they are the names of characters from the 2008 game GTA 4. Even this Nico has an Eastern European accent, and a member of his family is called Roman.
All right, Roman's ready and we are running late. Let's roll.
They're on the move.
At the start of the side mission, Spider-Man, Pete has to track down his imposter.
South.
Thanks, I got a little turned around. Someone's impersonating me. I could be the chameleon again. I've got to pick up his trail.
Dmitri is a Russian spy and master of disguise who's also Spidey's first supervillain he ever faced. While tracking down Black Cat across the rooftops, he says this.
Found you. Cornelius Van Lunt's place. She's hitting places full of one-of-a-kind valuables.
Cornelius Van Lunt is a wealthy businessman and a costumed villain called Tauros. In Felicia's hideout, there's a room full of stolen goods. A guitar can be found in an open trunk that belongs to Joseph Pincus, aka Lonesome Pinky. He's a country singer who was once Peter's next-door neighbor. This large portrait shows the Kingpin's wife, Vanessa Fisk. And in these wooden crates are wine bottles that, by zooming into the labels in photo mode, you'll see that the brand name is the French word for spider. And the description below it reads, produced in Burbank, California by Insomniacs, guaranteed to give a strong headache. Burbank is the headquarters for Insomniac Games. While doing some of the Taskmaster's combat or stealth challenges, you may spot him watching the events from a rooftop. If you then try to approach him, he'll disappear in a puff of smoke. And for this final entry, we'll take a look at the various shop names around the city. Trust Us League is a parody to DC Comics' Justice League. And JL signs across the city are another parody to them. In the northern part of Midtown District is a shop with the developer's name above the entrance. The Golden Wholesale Meat Company that is found on the roof of Octavius's lab is named after Gavin Golden, the lead character artist for the game, who goes on to become the art director for the Miles Morales spin-off. Back in Times Square, Yoshio is a homage to Yoshio Shatani, who was a key animator on Spider-Man the Animated Series. Another shop in Times Square is called Kavanagh. Terry Kavanagh is an editor and writer for Marvel Comics. And this shop, called Tomb Raider, is a parody to the Tomb Raider games series, as the creative director, Brian Horton, was also the game director for Rise of the Tomb Raider when he worked for Crystal Dynamics.